What's going on, everyone? My name is Daryl, and I'm a less than amateur runner who likes running and running related things. Today I'll be talking about or taking a look at the ASICS Superblast 3, a shoe that I've seen a lot of other runners talking about on social media. I actually used the Superblast 2 over here to run the Chicago Marathon in 2024. I was coming off the Berlin Marathon just a couple weeks earlier, so going into Chicago, I also wanted something that would feel comfortable and protective on my feet rather than going with an aggressive carbon-plated super shoe again. The Superblast 2 ended up being the perfect choice for that situation, which made me really excited to see what ASICS changed for version 3 and whether they can improve on a shoe that I already trusted over 26.2 miles. Right now, I'm currently training for the Sydney Marathon using the Runna app as part of my marathon build. If you're curious about Runna, I do have a free 2-week trial code down below. Training has been going really well so far, and with the Runna steadily increasing the mileage each week, it seemed like the perfect time to get some miles in the ASICS Superblast 3. But before we get into the review, let's go take this shoe for a run. We'll talk about the specs on the shoe. The Superblast 3 comes in at about 8.3 ounces for a men's size 9. It features a 46.5 millimeter heel stack, and it's about 38.5 in the forefoot, giving it an 8 millimeter drop. And it uses the FF Leap foam paired with the FF Blast cushioning. ASICS also updated the engineered woven upper, or with an engineered woven upper, and redesigned the outsole with a trampoline-style forefoot pod for extra bounce, and somehow made the shoe lighter while adding even more cushioning underfoot. So for the run that I featured in the video, I wanted to really test out the Superblast 3, and I decided to take them out for one of my tougher marathon workouts from the Runna app during my Sydney Marathon build. The session was a solid, it was really a solid workout. It was a 2 mile easy, 2 miles easy for the warm up, then 2 sets of 2 mile tempo repeats at around 7 minutes and 50 seconds pace, with a short walking recovery in between, followed by a 2 mile cool down. Going into the workout, I was honestly a little bit worried about trying to hold tempo pace in a completely brand new pair of shoes. Usually when I'm running faster efforts like this, I like having a few runs already logged in the shoe, so I know exactly what to expect. But the Superblast 3 settled those concerns pretty quickly. This honestly felt like the perfect workout for the shoe because it gave me a chance to see how the Superblast 3 handled both easy miles and some faster style efforts. During the warm-up, the shoe felt smooth and incredibly comfortable underfoot, but once I started getting into the tempo sections, the midsole really came alive for me. The FF Leap foam had a ton of bounce and made maintaining pace almost surprisingly effortless, especially later in the workout when my legs started to get tired. What stood out for me most was how stable and controlled the shoe felt at tempo pace. The updated FF Leap foam was one of the first things I noticed during my run. The ride feels lighter and more responsive than the Superblast 2, with plenty of bounce underfoot. ASICS also made some changes to the outsole, adding a trampoline-style forefoot design that seems to help the shoe roll forward and gives a little extra energy and push into your next stride. By the cool down on this run, my legs still felt fresh, which is exactly what I want during marathon training when the mileage starts building week after week. So starting with the upper, ASICS uses an engineered woven mesh that helps make the shoe feel really lightweight on foot. And as far as breathability in the shoe, I haven't had any issues so far, but it is a little bit different from the previous version. I think most of the ventilation is supposed to come from the gusseted tongue, which according to ASICS helps improve midfoot and reduces tongue movement. There are ventilation holes throughout the tongue, which you can see here maybe, although I'm not sure how much airflow actually comes through them since the tongue sits so close to the top of my foot. And it's really starting to get hot here in the Midwest, as it has been in other parts of the world as well. So that'll be something I pay attention to over the next few summer runs. There's plenty of padding around the heel collar. The shoe fits true to size, and I haven't noticed any hot spots or irritation when running. The lacing system now uses a cord style setup instead of the traditional eyelets found on the previous version. It's definitely a noticeable aesthetic change, but from a performance standpoint, I didn't really notice much difference on that. Both versions have provided me a comfortable fit, and as far as the colorway, I went with the plain white version because I wasn't really a fan of some of the other options that were available during launch on the shoe. So hopefully they come out with some new colorways here in the future. The midsole is where the shoe really stands out for me. I've got just over 100 miles in the Superblast 3 so far, and every single run has left me impressed. Usually my reviews are first impressions, but I've put in about 100 miles in the shoe already, and from the very first few steps, I feel like I'm almost bouncing down the road in this shoe. There's a noticeable amount of energy return, and the ride feels incredibly lively without being overly soft or unstable. The ride is soft, it's energetic, and surprisingly, it's addictive to run in, which makes it a shoe that I keep reaching for during this Sydney Marathon training block. The midsole is made up of a combination of the FF Leap and the FF Blast Plus foam. And according to ASICS, the FF Leap foam is inspired by technology that you'd find in their Metaspeed racing shoes and is one of their lightest and bounciest foam that they've ever created. The FF Leap layer sits closer to your foot and is really the star of the show. For me, it's what gives the Superblast 3 that incredibly energetic and springy ride that I noticed from the very first few strides when I took it out for a run, and continue to take it on a run. I still feel like that. Underneath the FF Leap is a layer of the FF Blast Plus foam, which sits closer to the road and acts like acts as a foundation of the shoe, while the FF Elite provides the bounce and energy return. The FF Blast Plus helps add stability and durability to the overall ride. The combination of the two foams works really well together. You get a soft cushion feel underfoot, but the shoe never feels overly squishy or unstable, even during the faster efforts. What I noticed most during my runs was how easy it felt to maintain pace in this shoe. Now, I'm not claiming the Superblast 3 suddenly made me a fast runner, but during the tempo workouts that Runna had on my schedule, those paces felt surprisingly easy to hold. In fact, there were a few times that my watch was actually telling me to slow down because I was running faster than my target pace. There's a noticeable amount of energy return with every step, and the shoe feels, it seems to help you roll smoothly through your stride. Again, I'm not saying I'm a fast runner, but it definitely made those tempo efforts feel more manageable to me, and it felt very efficient. It's one of those shoes that makes you want to keep running, and that's a big reason why I keep grabbing this shoe for the Sydney Marathon training block. Talking about the outsole on the shoe, ASICS uses a combination of rubber compounds on the outsole, which with one focused on durability in the heel and the ASICS grip in the forefoot for added traction. The result is a shoe that feels secure underfoot without adding a bunch of extra weights. They also added the new trampoline style forefoot pod, which is designed to compress and rebound, and it contributes to that bouncy, energetic feel that I talked about earlier. With nearly 100 miles on the Superblast 3, I'm seeing a little wear just right here, which is encouraging for a shoe that's going to see a lot of marathon training miles. I've also taken the shoe out in some light rain and never had any problems with traction or slippage during those runs. So whether the roads were dry or just a little damp, the shoe felt secure and confident and comfortable underfoot. What surprises me most about the shoe is how stable it feels considering the amount of foam you're sitting on. ASICS did a really good job with balancing grip, durability, and weight. So the outsole gives you enough rubber coverage to feel protected and confident without making the shoe feel bulky. And after 100 miles, I have no concerns about it handling the rest of my Sydney Marathon build. So final thoughts on the shoe, on the ASICS Superblast 3. I think ASICS has a real winner with this shoe. As someone who trusted the Superblast 2 enough, right over here, I don't know if you can see that, to run the Chicago Marathon in 2024, I was curious to see if they could improve on a shoe that I already thought was excellent. After nearly 100 miles, or just over 100 miles, I can honestly say that they've done just that. So, what stands out most for me is the versatility in the shoe. I've used this shoe for easy runs, long runs, and tempo works. I just got off the treadmill doing some speed work on there, and it handled really well. It never feels out of place. During some of my recent Runna workouts, I actually found myself running faster than my target paces. And again, I'm not saying the shoe made me faster, but it definitely made those tempo efforts feel easier to maintain. The updated midsole brings that softer, bouncier ride compared to the Superblast 2, but it still feels stable and controlled when you pick up the pace. So if you love the firmer feel of the previous version, that's probably going to be the biggest difference that you'll notice. For me, though, the extra bounce and cushioning work really well during my runs for the Sydney Marathon. I think I keep mentioning that, I'm sorry. At the end of the day, the Superblast 3 is one of those shoes that makes me look forward to my next run, whether I'm heading out for an easy run, recovery day, long run, and that tells me that ASICS got a lot right with this shoe. So you guys, thank you for watching. Sorry it takes me so long to review shoes. These aren't brand new. I'm not a fast runner. Apparently I'm not a fast shoe reviewer either, but I do like to do this stuff because it's actually fun for me to talk to you guys. I will be in Atlanta running Peachtree here next week. So if you happen to be there and you see me, say hi. I can't wait to run it. Looks like it's going to be a really hot day. And then, of course, I'll be running Sydney in August. So with that being said, keep running strong and stay mustached.